Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my very squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about card condition and quality and evaluations and all that jazz. Because believe it or not, when you're buying and selling cards online, card condition matters. A lot of people covet those wonderful near mint cards that they can send off for grading, and there's a lot of different ways people can evaluate. That's a hard word to say, apparently. Evaluate whether or not your card falls into one of the various condition categories. There are 5 total near mint: light play, moderately played, heavy played, and of course, damaged. And for virtually all of those categories, individual sellers will all have different individual opinions about what qualifies. And in today's video, I'm just going to go over what I tend to try and stick to when it comes to evaluating the cards I sell online. And I hope that there's something here that you guys find informational at the very least. Consistency is key, I think, and a lot of customers tend to value you more if your idea of a near mint card lines up with their idea of a near mint card. And yeah, you can always find that this is one of the most subjective things ever. Like I said, there's different people are going to have wildly different ideas about what qualifies as a light played or heavy played or whatever. And that just is what it is. For the most part, I try to stick to TCG players' general guidelines about card condition and quality, but they have very vague wording and in one area contradictory wording. So I do tend to make this more of a frank-ish approach. So without any further ado, let's dive right on in with the only condition that I think most people agree on, and that is near mint. These are cards that have 1, maximum maybe 2 small blemishes about them, hardly noticeable. They might have a small ding in the corner or maybe some whitening around the edges. But for the most part, a near mint card looks near mint. 0 to 1 small defects maximum, because these are the cards that look like they come right out of the pack, look crisp, well-cut edges, all of that jazz. This is the kind of thing you want to throw into a sleeve and get ready to play with, because, hey, this is as good as you're going to get from the company itself, right? And really, that is the only condition that a lot of people tend to agree on. Then we have light play. Light play cards are, for some people, closer to near mint, and for other people closer to moderately played. This one here has doesn't really show up in the camera much, but there's like 3 small dings here in the corner. And when it comes to light play, 3 is really the number of defects I consider the maximum for a card, because it can be small things like some small dents or some edge wear or something, or a scratch on the card, some scuffing, but it all has to be minor, hardly noticeable. Doesn't really affect the overall visuals of the card, and some people could treat a light play with only 1 or 2 small things wrong with it as a near mint. I personally wouldn't, but some people totally would. It just is what it is. For a lot of people, light play cards are as good as near mint too, in terms of shuffling up, playing with, collecting, and all that jazz. A lot of people really do apply a premium to near mint cards in general on a lot of open markets, when a lightly played card is just as good for all intents and purposes, especially if you're someone who just wants to play with the cards, like I said. But again, they look nice, they don't have too much wrong with them. And the same can almost be said of the moderate played cards. And this is where it gets super subjective for me, between me and other people online, because these are the cards that I like to consider well loved. You know, this is the category where creases start to show up, where blemishes become noticeable at a glance. You know, you might be able to tell that this card has some dents in the corner at a glance, but you can definitely tell when a moderately played card is moderately played. You know, the edges are visibly frayed, there's very noticeable whitening in the corners, there's small dings and dents in the edge of the card, and it overall has a worn, scuffed look. Not damaged, not super dented or anything like that, but it does have noticeable wear and even a scratch or two on the surface. For moderately played cards, this is where like creases and other serious noticeable things start to show up, and it all ends up 3 or 4, 3 or 4 to 5 things are really where I keep evaluating moderate play. And again, that's things like there's a dent, there's edge wear, there's a scratch. That's 3 things that are pretty noticeable. None of them on their own are super damning to the card, but they are there, and they do factor into how the card is evaluated. Moving on into the category that some people think is just moderately played and other people think is just damaged, and that is the heavy play. And this is the category that sees serious wear on the cards. This is where more worn edges, dings, scratches, like noticeable defects. It doesn't really show up all on the camera because I picked an awful card to showcase, a white card with a bright flash in front of it, but this card is warped. It's got like this kind of weird bend to it now. It's got a bunch of noticeable dings and dents, and there's a big, does that show up on the camera? There's a big scratch right there on this lady's arm. That does not show up on the camera very well, but this is where, at a glance, you can definitely tell that this is the kind of card that you definitely wouldn't be getting maximum value on, no matter how you tried to argue it. You know, someone could look at this at a glance at a show and say, no, that card's messed up, no thank you. This is where more noticeable dents tend to pop up. And this is where, like, for heavy play at least, heavy play is where like 5+ minor things start to add up. Dents, scratches, wear on the surface of the card. All of those things combined lead for something that's, this was a terrible example because this card looks nice in the camera. I can see that now. But looking at it in person, there's a bunch of small scratches and scuff marks on it. The card is bent and wavy. There's a bunch of dents and such. This one actually looks pretty bad in person, I promise. I picked an awful example. But overall, yeah, a bunch of small blemishes add up and make a card look much less desirable, especially to collectors. This is the kind of card you'd only want to put into a sleeve if you were going to play with it, right? And then finally, the card quality that everyone kind of agrees on, but not always, and that's damaged. Damaged cards can have a multitude of small things wrong with them. Heavy played cards can have 5 or more small dings, dents, scratches, scuffs, etc. And in theory, a damaged card can just have a lot of dings and scuffs and dents and such. But in my opinion, a damaged card is one that has at least one very noticeable flaw or defect. For this one, you might be able to pick out what it is, but there's this huge crease at the top of the card art that's very noticeable at the side. Very noticeable looking at it sideways. It folds very easily, and it's very obvious that if you were to send this out for grading or something, it would not come back as a 10, unless you sent it off for PSA, because then it might. You know, crumbled cards, folded cards, super like damaged cards, water damage or something like that. It's damage, it's damage. And something that you have to notice for the damaged category, and something that I've actually had discussions with customers about, is that there's no scale to damage. If I list a card online as damaged and someone buys it, they have bought a damaged card, and if they message me saying, hey, this card is super messed up, what are you selling here? I want a refund. I'm like, you bought a damaged card and you're surprised that it was damaged when you received it. The only one to blame here is you. Now, sometimes those kind of people will argue with you and try to get a refund forced through TCG Player. And just simply having a calm conversation with whoever reaches out to you from TCG Player will usually do it. Only once in the years that I've been selling on the platform has a damaged card that someone complained about being damaged forced a refund on TCG Player's behalf. Surprisingly, the damaged cards you sell are the ones that you have the most leeway with in terms of condition, because again, it's damaged. So, and the other thing, while major damage and minor damage are all damaged in my opinion, minor damage is still damage. So it doesn't matter how bad the bent is on the card, how bad the crease is, or how much water damage it's received. If it's noticeably damaged, it's damaged. If it's not noticeably damaged, then you might be able to argue, again, super subjective here, because that's just how the industry is. But If it's like a small dent on the card, it's probably maybe moderately played. Maybe light played if the dent is small enough. But if it's got a huge crease on it that goes across the entire card, or if it's all crumbled looking, you know, if I take one of these, I don't know what I've got here. If I take what looks like an imprint card and crush it, and then unfold it, you can see this is damaged. Like, this is all fucked up. For all intents and purposes, this is the same as this in terms of damage category. Just keep that in mind. So, those are the criteria I look for, at least when I'm evaluating cards that I list for sale. And I'd like to try and be consistent about it. If someone reaches out to me and says that they have a card that's not the condition I sent out, or at least not the condition I listed, then obviously it's almost usually on me. I like to give the benefit of the doubt, and I offer the refund if they return the card, and that's that. With the exception of damaged cards. You bought a damaged card, it's damaged. Oh, what a strange world we live in. But it is what it is. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out the Discord, the TCG player link, and the Patreon. Patrons get access to some exclusive content in case you guys didn't know. But that's all I got for you kiddos today. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.